to today's video, and those of you that are new to my channel, hi, my name is Maria. Today I'm going to be testing out a new foundation and two new blush sticks that I recently purchased. We have the Burberry Matte Glow foundation and two Lancome Teint Idole Ultra Wear sticks. So if you want to see how these perform on oily mature skin, then just keep watching. I haven't tried it, so today is the first time trying it out. It comes in 30 mils. It says it's a luminous matte foundation, weatherproof and long lasting. So we'll open it up. I got this in the colour medium neutral, number 50. So inside it has a really gorgeous packaging with the nice tall lid here. It comes in a pump form. The colour actually looks really, really light, so I'm hoping it will be an okay match. If it's a bit too light, I'll just use some bronzer to warm things up. Just going to read on the Sephora website what it actually says about this foundation. So it says, discover the Matte Glow Foundation, the new generation of foundation that perfects the complexion with a luminous matte finish all day long. And they say what it does is the new generation of foundation that perfects the complexion with a luminous matte finish all day long. Its innovative second skin formula blends seamlessly into the skin for an even complexion, delivering an undetectable high coverage for a flawless yet natural result. Enriched with a life-proof technology, Matte Glow Foundation is heat, humidity and pollution resistant and comes in 30 shades to cover all skin tones. So with my skin, those of you that haven't seen any of my videos, I have mature skin. I'm 51 years old. I'm going to be 52 in July. I also have really oily skin, but it's just come into autumn here in New Zealand, coming towards the end of March, and there isn't much, well, hardly any humidity now. It's actually a bit cooler today, so that's why I'm wearing a jumper, and it's quite nice to get back into wearing jumpers again. And as usual, when I test out a new foundation, all my skincare is done. I have all my sunscreen on. Those of you that have seen other videos of mine know that I wear a lot of sunscreen, and I've also already put on my primer. The primer I use is the Hourglass Veil Mineral Primer. I've actually just purchased a different brand primer, and I think that may be coming today, so it'll be interesting to test that out. So I'm going to put a couple of pumps of this onto my hand and see what it's like. It's not very runny. It has quite a thick sort of consistency. You can see that there. I may actually need another pump. Not very much comes out. So using the BK Beauty 101 foundation brush, I'm going to put some foundation on the left side of my face, and the right side I'll use the Beauty Blender. So we'll pop some on. It doesn't seem too light. It looked quite light in the bottle, but it doesn't seem too bad. It's quite a good match, I think. It is quite difficult buying foundations online. It's quite hard to get a shade match, but I seem to be having some pretty good luck doing that lately. Just with initially putting it on, it's not matting down very quickly, but I do find it doesn't blend that easily, so I wouldn't put bits of foundation all around your face and then do one side and then the other. I think you just need to put bits on your face that you're going to blend to begin with and work like that. And when I use my foundation brush, I don't really tend to swipe it down. I tend to more stipple my foundation. I always think that helps with if you want to sort of cover any enlarged pores that you may have. I'm not going to put this foundation under my eyes. I hardly ever do. I'm going to use a concealer for that. It's covering the redness that I have here. It's nearly covering this quite large sunspot that I have there as well. There's no foundation that I've ever used yet that completely covers that, but it has covered it to some degree. So I would say this is definitely full coverage foundation. I was thinking initially medium, but I would say with a brush it's definitely full coverage. So just with the initial application, it feels quite nice. It doesn't feel heavy on the skin. If it stays like it's feeling now, it would need setting down with powder. It doesn't feel tacky. It feels like you've had a moisturizer put on. It just sort of feels like that, but it doesn't feel greasy in any way. It just feels like it will need to be set down a bit, but it does say, even though it's a matte finish, it also gives a luminous glow, so that's probably why it has that sort of finish. Oh, well, I'm really pleased with the colour match. I really thought that was going to be too light, but it's actually looking really good. So just for this one side of my face using the brush, I've used the full 2 pumps, but like I showed you earlier, not actually a lot came out. So, but it was 2 pumps with the brush, and I do tend to find you need to use a little bit more foundation when using a brush. Okay, so as I said, I don't put any foundation under my eyes here. I'm going to use my concealer for that, and I don't put any on my eyelids either. But that's my left side of my face with the brush, and the side I've yet to put some foundation on. And I'm going to do that in a minute using a beauty blender. It'll be interesting to see, because if it's going to settle into my lines and wrinkles, it tends to do that fairly quickly if it's going to do that. So I'm going to use 2 more pumps, since I had to use 2 for the brush, and use a beauty blender that I've dampened. It's definitely easier to blend with the beauty blender, I can tell straight away. So it definitely blends out a lot easier using the beauty blender. I think it still gives pretty good coverage though. I don't really have sunspots on the side of my face, but I do have redness because I do have some broken capillaries, and it seems to be covering that quite well. I also have a couple of, they're just smaller sunspots here. It seems to have covered that quite well. Again, I haven't got any foundation that will cover my sunspots completely. I always have to use a concealer as well. The foundation doesn't seem to have any scent either, so it's fragrance free, and there's quite a few people that prefer a fragrance free foundation, so that's a bonus as well. I've actually had a really good run with foundations that I've bought recently and tested. No doubt I'm going to buy one in the future that won't do so well, but at this stage this one seems to be really nice. So that's all the foundation on. The side feels exactly the same as the other. To be honest, I can't really see the difference between using the foundation brush and the beauty blender. Both have covered really, really well. The pores that I have seem to be fairly minimized as well. I would say it's a combination of things. probably a good foundation, and also the way you put on your foundation. As I said, I tend to using the brush stipple in the foundation, and you would have seen me with using the sponge. I just tend to press in my foundation. So a combination of a good foundation and application help to minimize the look of enlarged pores. It feels really nice on the skin. It doesn't feel cakey or heavy. It will need setting down, so I will do that soon. And what I might do when I'm setting the foundation, I might just use setting powder on one side and not on the other to see whether that makes a difference throughout the day. It's also interesting to see, because some people, even though they have oily skin, still prefer a bit of a luminous glow. Others prefer it to be more matte. I find with my skin that even when I use setting powder, after a quarter of an hour, half an hour, the oils in my skin tend to start coming through a bit. So I always tend to have a bit of a luminous glow, no how much powder I use. But I will set half of my face with powder. So I will set the left side with powder and leave the right side and see how that wears throughout the day. So now I'm going to put some concealer under my eyes. I'm going to use my MAC Pro Longwear Concealer. This is in the colour NW25. This has been sitting around in my drawer for quite a while, and I did a video the other day on my oldest makeup, and this concealer was one of them, and I'd forgotten how good it was. And as I mentioned in the other video, the only thing I don't like about it is the pump, because no matter how lightly you press on the pump with that concealer, you end up, and you can see here, end up with far too much. So you end up wasting quite a lot of product. So I'm just going to take a tiny bit of this concealer onto my finger here and just press it under the eye. See, it's a lot. I could probably use even the amount that I took there for under both. And I just gently press my concealers in. So that's my concealer on. Now I'm just going to set my concealer. I'll do that first before I use the setting powder on my face. And this is the BK Beauty 108 brush. And I'm going to use my Charlotte Tilbury setting powder. This is a really nice setting powder for under the eyes. It's really nice for the rest of the face as well. But it's so finely milled that it is great for setting under the eyes when you have more mature skin. So I've tapped off the excess on the brush, and I'm just going to gently press the powder under each eye. And then I'm going to take my Sonia G Face 1 brush and just powder the left side of my face. So that's the left side of my face only powdered. It definitely takes away a bit more of that glow on your skin, but like I said, because my skin is so oily, my oils will start to come through probably fairly quickly and possibly end up looking like this side as well. But it'll be interesting to see throughout the day how this foundation wears and whether it wears better with the setting powder or it's just fine without it. I did a foundation review recently that was for the Huda Beauty Faux Filter foundation, and it didn't really matter, and that was more when it was hotter here too, and that didn't really matter whether I used a setting powder or not. So it'll be interesting to see how this one performs as well. At this stage, it doesn't appear to be settling into my wrinkles or fine lines. So that's really good. It may do throughout the day, but I will be keeping an eye on that. But at the moment, I think it gives really lovely coverage. I like a full coverage foundation. So what I'm going to do now off camera is I'll do my eyebrows, put all my eye makeup on, my eyeshadow, mascara and any liner if I'm going to wear that. So I've done all my eye makeup and I've also put bronzer on. Everything that I'm wearing I will list in the description box below. So the foundation is still looking really, really good. The side that I've powdered is not as matte feeling because my oils have started to come through a bit as I was doing my eye makeup. The side that it hasn't been powdered has actually gone from that sort of cream finish and that has gone quite matte. So between the two, this side feels where I've powdered slightly smoother as powder does when you buff it in, but this one also feels slightly matte as well. It really has quite a beautiful finish. So I'm hoping that this is going to wear really well throughout the day. So now I'm going to swatch for you and try on one of these colors. As I said at the beginning of the video, this is the new Lancome Teint Idole Ultra Wear Stick Blush Sticks. They say they're all day wear and comfort. They come in the silver packaging. I got the colors Wild Ruby and Daring Peach. So they come in this container with the Lancome logo on the top and the description on what color the blush is underneath. Has just a pull off lid and you twist it up or you can twist it back down again. So with some products you twist up and can't twist them back down again, but you can with these. So this is the color Wild Ruby. That's the full amount that you get on the stick. I'm just going to wind it down a bit before I swatch it so it doesn't break. I'm going to swatch a bit on the back of my hand and show you. This is gorgeous. It is very, very pigmented and felt really creamy going onto my hand there. So that is Wild Ruby. And the next one, Daring Peach. This is what that colour looks like in the stick. And I will swatch that one on the back of my hand as well. It is a beautiful soft peach colour, but again still has quite a lot of pigment. So two completely different colours. The really bold red here and the very soft peach colour here. They're both absolutely beautiful and as I said they feel really beautiful on the hand as well. So I think I will go with the Wild Ruby today. I think it's going to give a really aspen cheek sort of look when you've been out in the cooler weather. So I'm going to apply it with my fingers to begin with, and then if I think it needs blending out a bit, I'll use my Beauty Blender sponge. So I've just put a little bit on my fingers. You can see how pigmented it is, and we'll put that on. It blends out really, really nicely. As long as it's not too much, I won't have to go over with the sponge. You don't need to use much at all, as you can see, but it does blend out just using the fingers really, really beautifully. Okay, that's a lot. I think I will have to go over with the sponge just to dampen it down just a little bit. But first I'll do the other cheek. And it's going over both sides equally well. The side that I powdered and the side that isn't powdered. Both going over the foundation really, really well. I am going to take my Beauty Blender and just try and tone it down a tad. So that is the blush on. Really, really beautiful colours. And I am branching out more into really bold colours with blush. You can always get that gorgeous colour but then tone it down a bit as well. But I love this. I think it gives that really fresh faced look on your cheeks. Really, really beautiful. And normally I would finish my look by using my Hourglass ambient lighting powder, and that's the one in dim light, but I'm not going to today because I want to see how this foundation wears without that covering throughout the day. And I'll also try this evening to pop back in and give an update to how this foundation is wearing. If for some reason I don't get time to do that, I will pin a comment below and let you know how this foundation wore throughout the day. At this stage, I think it looks really, really beautiful. So this is the final look. At this stage, I'm really, really liking this foundation. I'll have to see how it wears through the day with my oily, mature skin. I'll keep an eye on whether it moves round or whether it starts to settle into my lines and wrinkles and let you know. But I think it is a beautiful foundation, initially anyway. It gives a really lovely coverage. It has a slight blurring effect on the pores. Like I said, that also has to do with not just a good foundation, but also the way you apply your foundation as well. It doesn't look heavy on the skin and doesn't appear to be cakey or have any sort of unusual look to my skin. It's performing like all my other favorite foundations at the moment. It's fragrance free too, which is always a bonus, so you don't have to worry about smelling a foundation throughout the day. And overall at this stage, I think it's really, really nice. And as long as it performs like it should during the day, then it's certainly one that I will be reaching for again. The two blush sticks that I bought from Lancome are really, really gorgeous. I'll wear the Daring Peach colour in another video, but the Wild Ruby colour that I wore is absolutely gorgeous. It went on really, really beautifully. I did tone it down a little bit. You could wear it bold if you want. I just wanted it to have a little bit more of a toned down look. But overall, they went on really well. They blended beautifully. And this is another product that I will keep an eye on throughout the day and let you know how this wore. These are labelled Ultra Wear sticks. So with that type of wording, I would be hoping that it lasts throughout the day and you don't have any fading or any need to reapply them. So I'll update you as well as to how these wore. So it's now just after 8 o'clock at night. I'll see if I can bring that up on my cell phone so you can see. Just after 8, it's 2 or 3 minutes past 8. And I've had the foundation on for about 10 hours. I put it on just after 9 o'clock this morning. It actually has worn really well, and when I put the foundation on this morning it was a bit cooler and I was wearing a jumper. I've now got a different top on because being autumn it got a bit hotter just after lunchtime, so I've got a short sleeve top on. And also changed my earrings because I had black earrings with my other top, and so I've put the silver on with this top as well. So I'm really pleased with the foundation. I think it's worn really, really well. It hasn't sealed into my lines or wrinkles. I also haven't powdered any more than what I did earlier this morning. I powdered on the left side of my face where I applied the foundation with a brush, and it doesn't seem to need any more, but keeping in mind that it's not summer here now, it's the beginning of autumn, so perhaps if it was the middle of the summer I would have needed to powder again. The right side I didn't powder at all, and it seems to be performing exactly the same, powdered or non-powdered. And the side, the left side, is where I use the BK Beauty 101 foundation brush, and this side with the Beauty Blender. and both look really good. It's slightly perhaps starting to fade just here, but it has been on for 10 hours and I would expect that with a foundation. From reading the label on the foundation, it didn't seem to give promises of 12 or 24 hour wear, so after 10 hours I still think it looks really, really good. It hasn't caked throughout the day and it hasn't moved round, and sometimes with some foundations, as the day wears on, foundations can start to feel quite heavy on the skin, even though they didn't initially, but that doesn't feel like this at all. It really is a lovely foundation. So overall, I'm really, really pleased with it. I will definitely be using this again, and it will go into my collection with all my other foundations of the ones that I reach for regularly. Also, the blush that I tested today, the Lancome stick blush, that has worn really well. You can still see the blush on my cheeks after the initial application. I did tone it down with the Beauty Blender and it's still looking just the same, which is really good after 10 hours of wearing a blush. I often find with blushes that when it gets to about the 6 or 8 hour mark, they can tend to fade, but this one still looks really good. If I was going out for dinner tonight or something like that with the foundation, I possibly would just put a powder on my face. I'm a little bit shiny, but nothing excessive. So I'll probably just pop a bit of powder on and just reapply my lipstick like I have to throughout the day, and that would be it. I would be good to go. So overall, I'm really happy with both products I purchased, and for oily mature skin, I recommend them. I think they're really, really good products. So now I'm going to go and take all my makeup off and have a shower and relax for the evening. And that's it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you next time. Bye.